we're hitting up one of the coolest vintage toy shops in town, Misfit Toys. This will be my first visit since they've expanded the shop. From rare figures to hidden gems, you never know what you'll find here, so stick around. Welcome to Wrestle Toys. If you love toys, wrestling collectibles, or anything pop culture or vintage, you're in the right place. Hit that like button and subscribe so you don't miss out on my weekly videos. Alright, let's see what we can dig up. I'm on the lookout for, well, you'll see. First up, this one's dedicated to my Power Ranger collectors out there. Fun to see the vintage Power Ranger figures, especially considering they just re-released these figures that are available at Walmart right now. Man, I remember having this Captain America. He was part of my Fig Federation many years ago. This is their clearance table, so not hard to find collectibles or figures, but sure do bring back a lot of memories. Alright, JAKKS Rocky figures. Let's see what we got here. We got a Duke, and then the announcer. Not interested in either of those. The Lou Filippo might put for my referee collection. We shall see. And then Jimmy Lennon Sr. More familiar with his son, Jimmy Lennon Jr. So let's move on. This right here, they combined their Masters of the Universe and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles and put them in a display. I'm not a big collector on either, unless it's a crossover with the WWE, but just wanted to share with you this one. And let's take a look at the backside. We got some more MOTU and TMNT. Mostly TMNT on this side, but for those of you that like to collect either, this one's for you. This one crossed my mind in scooping up and add as a little Easter egg in my Scott Hall and Kevin Nash display. As many of you know, Nash played Super Shredder in TMNT Part 2. Nice. Any Street Shark collectors out there? Alright, here we go. My favorite, some wrestlers. Let's take a look and see what they got. Alright, nothing really catching my eye at the moment. We got a decent Jimmy Hart there. We got an SD Jones. And then we got a Mr. Fuji. What catches my eye is that they're going to be releasing a Mattel Mr. Fuji here pretty soon. Otherwise, I'd go sweet with my demolition display. Now, I love retro wrestling figures, but I'm not a big LJN guy. If I were to consider scooping up some figures, it'd be that Andre or maybe that Mini Hogan figure. I've been looking for a loose version of this grip and flip Brett. I just love how the singlet design is on that one. The Maximum Sweat Wrestlers. I actually have about 2 of these that are Stone Cold Steve Austin's for my collection, but I always found them to be just too odd to really get into them. Do any of you guys actually like the Maximum Sweat Wrestlers or collect them? Let me know in the comments. Man, when I pulled this figure, I couldn't help but think of the recent health problems for Buff Bagwell and his recent leg amputation. And it's been heavily documented, and he's been going through it with a great attitude. And I wish him nothing but the best in his recovery and just sending him positive vibes. Got a Sherry right here that I might actually consider for my Macho Man display. We shall see if I'm going to scoop her up. And speaking of Macho Man, what do we have here? And check this out. Miss Elizabeth's on the floor. It's a case, and let's see what the price is on that. $15. This is definitely a potential grab for later. Always fun to look at these late 90s, early 2000s figures. There was this weird time period where they're still trying to perfect the articulation, but the artwork on the back always brings back some fun memories. I don't have many of these figures on display, but I do have my set of them. I do collect those belts, look really sweet. Look at all these old Kurt Angles. Kurt Angle is another one that has a lot of those ugly looking figures from the late 90s and early 2000s. I say that, but that's, all subjective and people's opinions. There's some people that may actually find those to be the best, and like their whole collection consists of nothing but those late 90s, Jack figures and Titantron Live figures. Here we go, some more Kurt Angle figures. They just got Kurt Angles from the late 90s galore here. Man, whatever happened to Adam Rose? That's the other fun thing about looking at some of the figures from the last 15 to 20 years, is I always like to wonder if these guys are still in the wrestling industry, or do they move on to make a living in something else. Man, Damian Sandow, when he was Mrs. Shadow, for $15. What's he up to lately? Man, even at 50% off, I just was not a fan of these style figures, so I don't have much desire for those. But these MOTU WWE crossovers I do love, and at $5, I already have this Rowdy Piper one. Let's see if they have any more. And here we go, a stack of AEW Figz. Let's see what we got here. All right, here we go. This MOTU Macho Man. If he's the same price as the Piper, I might be scooping him up. Here we have a bit of a mashup section here. We got Simpsons figures, we got X-Men, we got Spawn. Let's see if they happen to have any of those Bret Hart Simpson figures. And here's the fun thing with vintage toy hunts, is discovering figures that you didn't even know existed. I had no clue about these Road Warrior Mad Max figures. Has that ever happened to you? Alright, the pile of Loosies. This is one of my favorite things to do at any toy shop, is just to go through any of the Lucy tubs, the Lucy bins, and see what we can find. It's always fun to dig and find some hidden treasures. And it doesn't look like they're having very much of what I'm the market for. There's a lot of Supermans, a lot of Batmans, a lot of superheroes here. And let's see if we can maybe dig for some hidden loose wrestlers that might be at the bottom. The recent release of Street Fighter II figures by JAKKS Toys has made me grow an appreciation for video game figures. And here's a couple that I found here at Misfit Toys. Now, I'm primarily a wrestling figure collector, but I do have a humble collection of figures from a variety of interests, and I always keep my eyes open for specific categories of figs. One of those categories happens to be Batman figures, and this right here is their Batman selection. I do like that Two-Face, and I wish they didn't have the price tag over his face. Now here's something you don't get to see every day, and it's a nice display of Star Wars Halloween costumes, all for sale here. I've probably seen these maybe one time in person in previous years. It's cool to see like just a nice compilation of these, especially for my Star Wars fans out there. I have my display of Just Toys Bend-Ems for WWF wrestlers, but I never knew that they actually released some Star Wars Bend-Ems, which I found really cool. Now, I'm a big fan of the Escape from LA and Escape from New York film series, and I love the Snake Plissken character. I would actually really contemplate getting this figure and put it in my office somewhere outside of my wrestling figure collection. This right here combines two fandoms. This was dedicated to my friends that like both shoes and Transformers. And speaking of which, they have an extensive Transformer display and collection. This one is dedicated to my Transformer collectors out there. Now here's to some of the more high dollar Star Wars collectibles, not the most extreme expensive Star Wars figures out there or collectibles, but definitely things that you don't get to see every day. So we made it back to the wrestling room. Let's take a look at what I scooped up today from Misfit Toys. And for my Macho Man collection. I picked up both those Miss Elizabeths, both at $15. This one coming with a protective case that I think was a really good deal. Now I run into the problem of, though I have a lot of spacing for my Macho Man display, because these are in box and because there's that $15 price tag, they're a little bit older, not sure if I want to tear these one opens and let them breathe. So we'll figure that out. Plus, I also picked up that $5 MOTU WWE crossover. And before I had a chance to record this, I actually already ended up, obviously, letting him breathe. Thank you guys for watching. If you love vintage toys just as much as I do, do me a favor. Like, subscribe, comment, share with your friends. Don't miss out on my weekly videos every Thursday. And thank you from Wrestle Toys.